In this third and final PlantSimLab tutorial, we will cover the Results Viewer tab, which displays all the network analysis results in detail. Let's get started by logging into the PlantSimLab web application. Load the PlantSimLab sample model from the PlantSimLab database. Notice the 3 experiments created on this model are now listed in the model tree. Recall that Setup opens the experimental setup and displays the network diagram. When we expand Results and click Network Simulation, a dynamical network analysis runs on this experimental model and the Network Simulation subtab is opened, displaying its network diagram. The model, experiment name, and a component ID are displayed along the top of the canvas. The component ID refers to a graph component in the state space graph, which contains the initial node states in the state space. A node table with the name, number of states, and current state of all nodes is also created. Clicking the Next button in the toolbar displays the state transitions of all nodes for the next time step. Node sizes may change to represent their new states. If the network gets to its final steady state, the message "In steady state" appears next to the node table. Clicking the Prev button displays the state transitions of all nodes for the previous time step. If the network gets to the initial state is displayed next to the node table. The Play button can be used to animate the progression of the system by automatically cycling through the state transition steps. Once clicked, it turns into the Pause button. Clicking the Pause button stops the animation and turns it into the Play button. With or without animation, a step leading to the steady state or initial state issues the corresponding message. Unmodified is the experiment automatically created when a simulation is performed on the original, unperturbed model, in which the initial node states are all set to low. Now let's open the Dynamical Network Analysis subtab to view the Dynamical Network Analysis results in detail. Again, along the top, the model and experiment names are shown. Under this is the Summary of Trajectory Data table with the Show Trajectory Table button highlighted in the toolbar. Here, a color legend for the different node states is displayed, along with the node table. Note that the colors used for the lowest and highest state will be the same, independent of the number of possible states a node has, with intermediate colors utilized as needed. The trajectory data is summarized in the table below. The total number of network states and the total number of components in the state space are displayed in the top of the table. The node state column shows the state of all nodes during steady state for the component. For instance, component 1 gets into the steady state when CAP is in the high state, mRNA is in the high state, LAC-Z is in the high state, and so on. The dynamics column indicates whether a component has one or more steady states. If it has only one steady state is shown. but if it has more than one, limit cycle is displayed in this column. The components in the rows are listed in order of decreasing size. Use the scroll bar on the right or a mouse wheel to see the components not currently in the view. To get more details about a component, you can open the component table by clicking that component's row. Let's click the row for component 1. Containing 216 network states, component 1 comprises 8.33% of the 2,592 total network states. The component table uses bar size, as well as the color coding, to indicate each node's state. For instance, in the steady state, cap is in the high state, and its cell is entirely filled with a purple bar. The node L_E is in the mid state, and its cell is filled only halfway with a gray bar. The node LACL is in the low state, and its cell contains a small yellow bar. The state space graph of component 1 is below the node table. You can use the right and bottom scroll bars, as well as the zoom in and zoom out buttons, to manipulate the graph position and view. A state space graph node is composed of a group of cells, each of which represents a node in the simulation network. Here again, color and bar size indicate the state of each node. The arrow button in the toolbar can be used to switch the display orientation between left to right and top down. Let's click on the State Space Graph button in the toolbar. The entire state space graph, with all 65 components, is now displayed for this simulation model. A full state space graph can be large, so the zoom buttons and the scroll bar can be particularly helpful to adjust the view here. Now let's click the Pie Chart button. The pie chart combines all components in a compact view where one can quickly visually gauge the relative contributions of components to the entire state space. Click any slice in the pie chart to get more information about its component. You can also select a component by clicking on it in the legend. For a large number of components, use the up and down triangle buttons to reveal any components not currently visible in the legend area. Let's select component 30. Again, we can utilize the zooming and display orientation buttons for better visibility of the state space graph. A component can also be selected from the drop-down box in the toolbar. Let's now select component 7. Selecting Component Summary from the drop-down will open the pie chart. In this third tutorial, we've covered the graphical displays of state transitions and various other visualizations of the network analysis results. We hope these introductory tutorials were helpful in getting you started with using PlantSimLab. In the next series of PlantSimLab tutorials, we'll cover more advanced technical topics, including additional mathematical algorithms soon to be available from the PlantSimLab web application. Please stay tuned.